Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy Keaton Talk Sports here, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, links in the box below. This is my 2024 post-draft power rankings. I'm going to give you the reasons why I believe each team did or did not do well in this year's draft. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. This is my 2024 post-draft power rankings. Starting at 32, I have the Carolina Panthers. Looking at their draft process, I love what they did at 32 by getting their guy Xavier Legette from South Carolina, a guy that can catch 50-50 balls, a guy that can make life easier for Bryce Young as he desperately needs weapons on the outside. So they got that there at pick 32. I love the pickup of Jatavion Sanders, another weapon for Bryce Young for that offense. I love the Deontay Johnson pickup from the Steelers as he brings in their demeanor to that offense. So they did pretty well in terms of trying to put pieces around Bryce Young at the offensive line and receivers on the outside. So I thought they did pretty well there. But like I said, the Carolina Panthers still have a long way to go before I can move them up in the power rankings. Even though they did do well in terms of trying to put pieces around Bryce Young, this team is still going to be in the top three in terms of the draft next year. So I have the Carolina Panthers finishing number 32. 31, I have the Denver Broncos. I love what they did, obviously, at quarterback at pick 12, getting their guy Bo Nix for the future after getting rid of Russell Wilson. Obviously, Wilson and Sean Payton did not work well together. Obviously, they didn't see eye to eye together. So that marriage came to an end last season. You lost Justin Simmons to free agency and all that stuff. I love the pickup of Troy Franklin at pick 102. Obviously, Troy Franklin's a fast receiver who can separate. And I think Bo Nix will have a lot of fun having him on his team. A guy that can separate and make life easy for a guy like Bo Nix who has an arm, who can throw deep balls down the field and stuff like that. But like I said, this Denver Broncos team is an uncharted territory, obviously. This team's in completely. This is a new team, obviously. Um, you know, Bo Nix coming into a new situation. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's going to have growing pains. So Denver Broncos fans are going to have to be patient here with this team. Uh, you know, you see the potential Bo Nix can be in this league, which I think he does have the potential to be something special. But like I said, he's in his first year. He's going to have growing pains. Not a lot of talent outside of Troy Franklin, obviously on offense. Uh, the defense is pretty decent. Obviously, the defense has been pretty good. I mean, it was pretty good last year. Obviously, outside of the Miami game where they gave up 70 points, but their defense they got their act together defensively after that. But this team still has a long way to go before I can call them a playoff team. Give them a couple of years or so, and they'll start to improve this team. But right now, this team I have them at 31 here. Pick number 30, I have the New York Giants. Obviously, some Giants fans may question this one because you got your guy Malik Neighbors, who I love the pickup for the Giants. Obviously, they needed a number one receiver on that team, a guy that can separate, a guy that can pretty much do anything on the offense. Love the Tyler Newton pickup for that defense. Obviously, I love the Brian Burns pickup from the Panthers, outside linebacker who can improve that defense as well. Jalen Mills, a former Patriot defensive back who can improve that defense as well. Devin Singletary, a running back after losing Saquon to the Eagles. I still think that's a big loss, though. Saquon, even though he hasn't led his team to the playoffs, he was still one of the more productive running backs in all of football. So losing him hurts. Devin Singletary obviously is a decent running back, but he's no Saquon Barkley. Theo Johnson, I love, guy that can give or it gives another weapon to Daniel Jones. But my only concern I have is Daniel Jones because he is coming off of an ACL injury. So how is he going to perform in 2024? My another concern is, can Daniel Jones give Malik Neighbors the football consistently? That's the only question I have with him because like I've been saying in my past mocks, I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy. I really don't think he is. Like, if he doesn't find a way to give the ball to Malik Neighbors consistently, if he doesn't find a way to have a productive 2024 NFL season, then I think the Giants need to go in a different direction at quarterback. Because, like I said, I think the Giants did improve. The only concern is Daniel Jones. I just don't think he's the right quarterback that I believe that can give the ball to Malik Neighbors consistently. Because Malik Neighbors obviously is the number one receiver on that team. Obviously, I mean, Giants fans know that. They needed a playmaker on the outside for a long time. They got their guy. This is the question is, do they have the guy at quarterback? I just don't think Daniel Jones is the right fit. Obviously, I think they need to get rid of him, in my opinion, get a new quarterback next year if he underperforms here in 2024. But the Giants, like I said, they did what they needed to do to get their guy Malik Neighbors. It was an obvious pick, and other pieces to put around Daniel Jones on offense. The defense, I believe, is pretty good as well. Like I said, it's just going to be a matter of can Daniel Jones perform in 2024. So we'll see what happens. But I have the Giants at 30 here. 29, I have the Washington Commanders. Obviously, this Commanders team was the second overall pick in this year's draft. Obviously, getting their guy Jaden Daniels from LSU, which I think is a tremendous pickup. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is the guy that fits in tremendously with a Cliff Kingsbury offense. I think they have the right coaching staff. Obviously, they cleaned house last year, bringing in a whole new staff, getting their guy Jaden Daniels. I also love the pickup of Jer'Zhan Newton. Um, I was kind of surprised that he fell in the second round. I thought he was an obvious first round pick, but he fell into the lap of the Washington Commanders at pick 36. Great pickup. Obviously, it improves that defense tremendously. Obviously, they're a young team as well. I mean, the Commanders are one of the youngest teams in the league, but I also love how they got the veterans in free agency like Austin Eckler at running back, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz. I mean, I think it's important to, when you're a young team like the Commanders, it's important to have veterans in that locker room that can galvanize the troops, bring the team together. So I think the Commanders are moving the right direction in that aspect, which I think it's good for a guy like Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie. So having veterans for that Commanders team is it's only going to help the young guys out tremendously. It's going to make the transition that much easier. Guys who have been there and done that, going into a young locker room like the Commanders is going to help tremendously for this team. But like I said, Jaden Daniels is a rookie. He's going to have growing pains. The potential is there. Okay, so my only concern with him is sliding. Can he slide when it matters? Okay, I know Jaden Daniels in college. He loves to do a lot with his legs and he likes to get extra yardage. But at the next level, guys are faster on defense. So if nothing is there, just throw the ball away. Live to see another day. Don't put yourself or the team in jeopardy because you are the franchise quarterback. I believe you can be something special in this league. And I've been saying that for a while now. I wanted him on my New England Patriots, okay? But that's a different story for another day. But Jaden Daniels fits the description to what the Commanders want to do on offense. And I think he improves that offense significantly, but he's going to see some growing pains throughout the season, okay? That's just what it is with any rookie quarterback. But the potential is there. But I have the Commanders finishing at 29 here. Like I said, they are heading in the right direction, but like I said, it's going to take time. But they will be a much better football team in 2024 record-wise. But I still have them at 29 because I think it's going to take them a minute to get used to the NFL level. Jaden Daniels I'm talking about here. So we'll see what happens. '28, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals had the 4th overall pick in this year's draft, so they got their guy Marvin Harrison Jr., which is an obvious pickup. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he's going to have a field day with Kyler Murray. Him and Kyler Murray working together, it's only going to elevate each other's games a lot. Kyler Murray is a guy that can throw the ball deep. Obviously, Marvin Harrison is a guy that likes to, catch 50-50 balls, that can separate, and just brings a different demeanor to that Cardinals offense, something that they desperately need. Darius Robinson I love the pickup there at pick 27 for the Cardinals, getting their guy Darius Robinson. Obviously, I was hoping it would have been Jer'Zhan Newton because I think he's a little bit of a better player than Darius Robinson, but I understand the direction the Cardinals want to go. They needed to get their guy at defensive line because they desperately struggled to try to get to the quarterback last year or generate any type of pass rush. So they got their guy Darius Robinson, who I think he's a good player. I think he will make that Cardinals defense better. Max Melton, cornerback in that back end of that defense, great pickup as well. So I like what the Cardinals did in this draft. Obviously, I think they hit what they needed to hit in terms of the positions that they needed. Um, I think they will be a little bit better in 2024. But they're not going to be that much better, but they will be better record-wise. But like I said, they still have a long way to go in terms of where they are in that division. I mean, you have the 49ers, you have the Rams, you have the Seahawks, who I think are all better than the Cardinals right now. But the Cardinals will show improvement in 2024. They're not going to be that much worse than they were last year. They'll improve, but I still have them at 28 just because I think they're just stacked up against, a stacked division that they're in, and then the rest of the conference and NFC I think got better as well. So we'll see what happens. But I have the Cardinals here at 28. 27, I have my New England Patriots. Obviously, I love what the Patriots did in this draft. Obviously, with the um, losing Mac Jones, obviously to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Uh, Drake May fits the description what the Patriots want to do. I mean, just his overall personality, 6'4", dude has size. And whether if he sees the field or not this season, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully he does see the field. I think it's important for him to get that experience and just learn a playbook at the next level in the NFL. So I think Drake May is the right fit in terms of what he wants to do with this team. I love the pickup of KJ Osborne. He's not a number one receiver, okay, but he is an improvement for what we have already on the roster. I think he does have a chance to be one of, if not the best receiver on this team outside of Kendrick Bourne. Obviously, is our number one receiver right now, but KJ Osborne, I think he makes that receiver room even better. I think he makes the offense a lot better. Antonio Gibson, another good pickup for the Patriots to go behind Lamondre Stevenson. Takes pressure off of Stevenson from having to do everything at running back. Jacoby Brissett, I think he's a phenomenal mentor to a guy like Drake May, who is only 21 years of age. Jacoby Brissett, who's played for the Patriots in the past, knows the system well, all that stuff. So I like what the Patriots are doing in terms of bringing in a vet in case if he starts this season, if Drake May sits for a little bit and then comes in later on in the year, we'll see what happens there. But people seem to forget that the Patriots, despite how bad they were offensively last year, they still had one of the best defenses in the league last year. I think people seem to forget that the Patriots, if you watched a lot of their games last year, I mean, 9 of their games were decided by 6 points. If they just had a decent quarterback last year that was able to get the ball to his receivers more consistently and make plays at the end of the games, I mean, you're talking about maybe a 7-8 win team last year. So my point is like Mac Jones just wasn't that guy for the Patriots. Now, a lot of that had to do with Bill Belichick not putting pieces around Mac Jones going into his important second year. So, like, you look at that situation, that's why Mac Jones, declined the last couple of years after having a stellar rookie season. So hopefully Drake May, or not Drake May, but hopefully the Patriots front office, who I have faith in, Draw Mayo, Elliott Wolf, to put pieces around Drake May and continue to build his team in the right direction around Drake May. I think it's going to be important. I believe they will do that. And obviously, Jalen Polk, a wide receiver from Washington, people are questioning this pick. Like, why would the Patriots trade back and get Jalen Polk? That's a reach. Jalen Polk he's a dog. I think he's going to improve this Patriots offense significantly. I think he has a chance to be a number one receiver on this team. He has the speed. He can separate. He can catch 50-50 balls down the field. I mean, I think the Patriots are going in the right direction here. Obviously, my only concern with one of these picks is the Caden Wallace pickup at 68. He's never played left tackle before. He's always played right tackle throughout his time at Penn State. He's never played left tackle before. So that's going to be something new for him, transitioning from right tackle to left tackle, which is obviously our biggest weakness right now is the left tackle position. So we'll see how he does there. But like I said, I have complete faith in the Patriots will improve. Another team, like I said, what I just said about the Cardinals, I think Patriots will improve record-wise. I'm not saying that the Patriots are a playoff team, but my main goal for the Patriots this year is improvement. That's all I want to see from this team this year. Okay, we're up in a stacked division with the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we know what we're stacked against, but the Patriots I think will be competitive again. And like I said, and will compete their butts off, and they'll be in a lot of these games. It's just gonna be a matter of can we close them. So we'll see what happens. But I love what we did in the draft. Obviously, we didn't really get a big time free agent. Obviously, a team that won 4 games last year, no big time free agents gonna want to go to New England right now after winning 4 games. So we're gonna have to just show improvement in 2024, and hopefully next year we can get a big time free agent and hopefully a number one receiver if things don't play out. But like I said, I think we will improve in 2024. Number 26, Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, the Vikings had a pretty good draft. I love the pickup of J.J. McCarthy at 10. Now, obviously, there was a lot of rumors about him going inside the top 3, which it didn't happen. So, obviously, the Vikings need a quarterback. You have Sam Darnold on your roster, but he's not going to be your starter, I don't think. I think J.J. McCarthy will be the starter come this season. Dallas Turner, the best edge rusher in this draft. I was really surprised that he fell at 17. I thought he was going to go inside the top 10 to Atlanta, but obviously they decided to do, they had other plans there at 8. But Dallas Turner improves that defense significantly given his overall skill set. Love the Aaron Jones pickup at running back. Andrew Van Ginkel, linebacker. I mean, the Vikings did what they needed to do, in my opinion, to get the position of needs in this draft. Quarterback, edge rusher, and obviously linebacker, which they got in free agency. So the Vikings, obviously, they're in a rebuild process here. J.J. McCarthy, I mean, it just makes sense. I love the fit. I think he's in a great situation. You got guys like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, all those guys that are there at wide receiver that he can work with. So J.J. McCarthy, a guy, obviously he hasn't been asked a lot to throw the ball at Michigan. Obviously, given the overall skill players that they had at Michigan, like I say, he wasn't really asked to throw the ball much. A guy that doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He makes the right reads. He throws the ball away when he needs to. Dude has an arm. I think he is that quarterback that can give Justin Jefferson the ball consistently, give guys like Jordan Addison the ball consistently. So I think Minnesota Vikings fans should be, obviously they have a lot to be excited about going in 2024. Now, is this team a playoff team? We don't know if this team is a playoff team, and this team's a wild card in my opinion in terms of they can either be in the mix for a playoff spot, or obviously they can be outside looking in. But like I said, we'll see what happens there. But like I said, I like the direction that the Vikings are going in 2024. I think they have the right quarterback. Obviously, Dallas Turner for that defense improves that defense significantly. So I love the picks for the Vikings in 2024. So I think they will improve in 2024. 25, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders really surprised me a little bit in this draft. I did not expect Brock Bowers to go to the Raiders. I thought this would have been Michael Penix Jr., obviously. He would have been a tremendous fit for this Raiders team, obviously. I don't really believe in Gardner Minshew or Aiden McConnell. I don't think those quarterbacks, like I said, they're good bridge quarterbacks, but I don't think they're the quarterbacks that's going to get it done when it matters on a consistent basis. Now, Gardner Minshew is a guy that almost took the Colts to the playoffs last year, but Michael Penix would have been nice for this team, guy that has a cannon arm, and I believe that can get the ball to a guy like Devontae Adams. But like I said, I love the Brock Bowers pickup at 13. Obviously, gives the Raiders another demeanor offensively. Devontae Adams isn't asked to do everything now. Now you have to worry about not just Devontae Adams on the offense, but now you got to worry about Brock Bowers on the other side of that offense. So, like I said, the defenses have to look out for those two guys because you can't just put all your attention on one guy. Now you got to worry about the other guy on the other side. So Brock Bowers is the guy that brings size, dude that gets yards after the catch, and just a versatile tight end at his position. He can also play wide receiver as well. So, I mean, I think the Raiders are going in the right direction here with that pick, as it gives, whoever starts at quarterback at the Raiders, whether if it's Minshew or Aiden McConnell, they can rely upon on Bowers and Devontae Adams, obviously, on offense. Jackson Powers Johnson, a guy from Oregon who fell at 44. I thought he would be been a first-round pick, but he obviously fell to 44. A guy that can protect Minshew or Aim at all costs. Solid pickup. I think he fits in to what the Raiders want to do that's nasty on the offensive line, and I think it will give more time to Minshew or A. McConnell to get the ball down the field. I mean, it's just those three picks right, or those couple picks right there make sense in terms of the overall fit on the team. So I think the Raiders are going in the right direction as well. The only question or my only concern is the quarterback position. Can Minshew or A. McConnell step up when it matters? Especially if you're a team that's trying to make a playoff push. It's going to come down to, can one of those guys make the plays when it matters? They have the talent. Christian Wilkins, obviously, defensive tackle, for that defense is going to, I think he improves that defense too. So they have the pieces. It's just going to be a matter of can the quarterback position get it done when it matters? Minshew or McConnell, whoever starts there. So I have the Raiders here at 25. I have them right in the middle of the pack, fighting for a playoff spot, potentially. '24, I have the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, the Saints, they desperately needed an offensive tackle here at pick 14. I love the pickup of Talise Fuega from Oregon State, a guy that's a molar on the offensive line. Dude has vicious hands, tremendous knee bend, and a guy that's going to do whatever it is possible to protect that quarterback. Derek Carr is obviously, he got a gift, in my opinion, this draft. You got an offense tackle. That was the position of need for the New Orleans Saints. Desperately needed a tackle that could protect the quarterback. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I believe he fits in tremendously on that defense. A guy that is very disciplined at his position. Dude is always at the right spots at the right time and all that stuff. I think he makes that defense pretty elite. They also got a guy like Chase Young from free agency from the 49ers, obviously, who I think improves that defense as well. I mean, obviously the Saints rely upon on defense a lot, so I think they have the right guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Chase Young that fits the description what they want to do on that side of the ball. I also love the pickup of Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. I think a guy like I can't remember his name. Derek Carr. There we go. Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a tremendous mentor for a guy like Spencer Rattler. I mean, I think he can step in sooner rather than later. I'm not saying he's going to play this year, but you can sit a year or two and learn behind a guy like Derek Carr. Now, let's say if Derek Carr doesn't perform up to standard this year, or let's say he sits a year, I think he can definitely start next year if the Saints don't feel like Derek Carr is the guy going forward. So I like to pick up at quarterback there at 150 for the Saints. Spencer Rattler can sit and learn a year, and he could be ready to rock and roll in 2025 in case the Saints want to move on from Derek Carr. But, I think the Saints did what they needed to do. They ain't do anything splashy, obviously, but they hit the position of need. Offense tackle was the biggest need, cornerback, and stuff like that to, improve that defense. So I think they got the position of need, the guys that fits in tremendously on this Saints team. So I like the pickups for the Saints there. '23, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, the Chargers, I believe, had a tremendous draft. I mean, they got their guy in Joe Alt at 5, which I'm not surprised one bit that Jim Harbaugh decided to go this route. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is a guy that likes to build through the trenches on both sides of the ball. Get your guy Joe Alt that can protect Justin Herbert at all costs. I think Herbert would appreciate having a guy like him on his team. I love the Ladd McConkey pickup at 34, a guy that can separate, dude that's fast, and gets extra yards after the catch. I think he fits in tremendously on that offense, and I think Justin Herbert is going to have a field day throwing the ball to Ladd McConkey and rely on him to make plays for his team at the end of games. Junior Colson, linebacker out of Michigan. I mean, Jim Harbaugh loves his Michigan guys, so I think he's bringing guys in that's going to fit Jim Harbaugh's system. Obviously, is this team a playoff team? We don't know yet, but this team is going to be much better than what they were last year. That's for sure. Brandon Staley obviously last year wasn't the right coach for this team. You had all that talent, and I just don't think he utilized the pieces well on this Chargers team. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to come in. He's going to get everything out of each and every player on that team, and I think this team's going to fight. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, but this team will be improved from last year, definitely in 2024. J.K. Dobbins, another guy I love at running back. I think he'll see the field this year, obviously, and stuff like that. So I think the Chargers are heading in the right direction in terms of their personnel that fits the description of what they want to do in 2024. Colts. I was a little bit surprised on what the Colts did in this draft, obviously, especially at 15. Defensive end, Leatu Latu wasn't a position of need for this team. I was expecting them to go with cornerback or maybe another wide receiver like a Brian Thomas Jr. with this pick that gives another weapon to Anthony Richardson. But Leatu Latu is a guy that improves that defense a lot given his overall skill set. Obviously, there were some concerns with his medical history, obviously. But it does improve that defense. He's ferocious, a guy that I wouldn't want to go up against as an offense, trying to keep him from getting to the quarterback, which obviously it's hard to do. You got to put a lot of attention on a guy like Leatu Latu. So he does improve that Colts defense, but it wasn't a position I would have gone with. I would definitely have gone with cornerback to improve that defense tremendously. But they did do that, obviously, later in the draft. Jalen Simpson at pick 164 and Micah Abraham at pick 201 from Marshall. So they did cover those positions later on in the draft. So I pretty much do understand what the Colts were doing in terms of getting Leatu at 15. I love the A.D. Mitchell pickup at 52 for the Colts. Obviously, A.D. Mitchell was a projected first-round pick, but obviously with the situation with his attitude problems, apparently a lot of GMs said that he had a lot of attitude problems and he had diabetes. That's not a joke. That's actually serious. That's actually a serious thing for him. He actually had diabetes. That's why he ended up falling down to the second round here. I think the Colts got a steal here. A.D. Mitchell is a guy that gives another weapon to Anthony Richardson, a guy that he can rely upon at the end of the games. Now, it's just going to be a matter of can he be that guy for the Colts in terms of the number one receiver. You still have guys like Michael Pittman Jr., who obviously he's the best wide receiver on that team. But A.D. Mitchell, can he step in and be at number two behind Michael Pittman? So we'll see what happens there. If he just gets his head straight and in the right mindset, I think he can be a special wide receiver in this league. But the Colts here, I think they did what they needed to do to be competitive. Another team that, like I said, that's going to be in the mix for the division. I mean, I don't think they're going to win the division, but they're going to be in the mix for a playoff spot here. So they'll be in the middle of the pack. #21, I have the Tennessee Titans. Yes, the Tennessee Titans. I love what the Tennessee Titans did in this year's draft and free agency. I mean, they got their guy J.C. Latham at Alabama, offensive tackle of Alabama. Now, obviously, Titans fans are a little bit disappointed because they wanted their guy Joe Alt, but he ended up going to the Chargers at pick 5. But J.C. Latham is no scrub. That dude can play, and a dude that's vicious and has size on the offensive line. I think he's going to help Will Levis tremendously. Keep him upright. Keep him from taking a lot of hits. Obviously, he took a lot of hits towards the end of last year, so you get your guy for the offensive line that can protect him at all costs is a tremendous win for the Titans there. Trevontre Sweat at 38. Obviously, there were some rumors about him going in the third round after that DUI incident early on in the year, but it improves that defense tremendously given his skill set. Dude has size. Dude comes off the line viciously. Would not want to go up against a guy like him. Cedric Gray, linebacker from North Carolina. I mean, I think they got the pieces for that defense now. Their defense is much, much more improved from last year. Now, they just got Tyler Boyd, which I think it's a tremendous pickup. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard. I mean, look at these names here. I mean, Mason Rudolph, even though he's not going to start, it's a good backup quarterback. You did lose Derrick Henry, but the Titans, I think they made up for losing Derrick Henry, obviously. I mean, You look at the wide receiver positions or the wide receivers in the league right now. Which team has a better trio than the Tennessee Titans right now? You have Tyler Boyd, you have Calvin Ridley, and you have DeAndre Hopkins, a three trio wide receiver group for that team. I mean, this team is heading in the right direction in my opinion. I mean, like I said, this team is going to be fighting for a potential playoff spot. They won what 7, 8 games last year, or whatever. So my point is, like, this team is going to be in the mix. I mean, people think Tennessee may finish last place, but this team has improved a lot. I think they're going to win more games than they did last year. That's for sure. So they had a tremendous offseason. Callahan, the coach for the Titans, I think did what he needed to do to improve this team and give Will Levis pieces on the outside, throw the ball to, and give him protection. I mean, I think it's a win-win. I love the picks that the Titans did in the draft and free agency here. Pick 20, Falcons. Obviously, they got their guy Kirk Cousins to a 4-year deal in free agency. They got their guy Darnell Mooney from the Chicago Bears at wide receiver. A guy that can go next to Drake London, which I think it's a tremendous fit there. Now, my only concern is that number 8 overall pick, quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Michael Penix is a bad player, but my point is that the Falcons struggled tremendously last year in terms of trying to get to the quarterback, in terms of trying to generate pass rush. So why not take your guy in Dallas Turner at 8? Like, it doesn't make any sense here. I mean, listen, Michael Penix Jr., like I said, if Kirk Cousins somehow he's coming back from an Achilles injury, we don't know how he's going to perform in 2024. Michael Penix has dealt with injuries throughout his college career. So, like, what's the thought process of the Falcons front office here by selecting Michael Penix at 8? It still doesn't make any sense to me, and stuff like that. But maybe they have a plan. Maybe they think Michael Penix will be on the field sooner rather than later. But I mean, you gave Kirk Cousins all that money because you're trying to win now, which I believe the Falcons are in the win now mode. But like, what are you doing with that pick at Michael Penix Jr. at pick 8 instead of going Dallas Turner, who would have improved that defense tremendously in terms of trying to get to the quarterback? But anyways, the rest of their picks here, I mean, Braylon Trice is a solid pickup, outside linebacker, who I think who fits in tremendously on the Falcons defense, and stuff like that. But the Falcons, like I said, they're a team that's a top 20 team in my opinion. That another team that I think that can fight for a playoff spot, maybe even the division. We'll see. But I have them at 20 here just because I would have put them a little bit higher. But like I said, I have them at 20 just because I still have questions with that Michael Penix pickup. What is Kirk Cousins? What is he going to be like in 2024 after coming back from the Achilles? So, I mean, as exciting as it is bringing Kirk Cousins here, they're still a little bit concerned. That's why I pretty much understand why the Falcons would go with Michael Penix Jr. because maybe they don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be the same player after coming back from that Achilles. I have no idea. I'm just speculating, but I have the Falcons here at 20. I have them fighting for either the division or maybe outside looking in. So we'll see. The Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I love what the Seattle Seahawks did in free agency and the draft. I mean, they resigned most of their guys back. Larry Williams, defensive tackle. Jerome Baker, who they picked up from Miami Dolphins, linebacker. Noah Fant, their tight end, that they resigned. Rayshawn Jenkins, safety. So they did what they needed to do to bring back the most important pieces for mainly that defense. They got their guy Byron Murphy at pick 16, which I think is a phenomenal fit, especially having a guy like Mike McDonald, who's a defensive-minded coach who wants to build through the trenches and gets the quarterback more efficiently in 2024. So they did that. They did what they needed to do to cover that position, get the guy Byron Murphy who can do just that. Christian Haynes, I love the guard that can protect Geno Smith at all costs and all that. So they did lose some guys like Carlos Hyde, running back, obviously, Philip Dorsett, wide receiver, who went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Shaquille Griffin, who went to the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. But people seem to forget that DK Metcalf is still on this team. You still have Igjiba from Ohio State, who is still on this team. So my point is that Seattle is a team that's going to be competitive like they always been. Some people have them worse than what they were last year. Some people don't even have them winning 7 to 8 games. Some people have them only winning 6 to 5, which I think it's ridiculous. This Seattle team is, I mean, looking at what they do every year, they're a team that's going to be in the mix for a potential playoff spot, maybe outside looking in. But this team is going to be competitive like they always been every year. They have, I believe, with the additions that they got, they have one of the best defenses in the league. Geno Smith is a veteran quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be the long-term solution there at quarterback, but Geno Smith is a veteran who knows the system, a dude that takes care of the football when it matters. I'm not saying he's great, but he makes the simple plays when he needs to. Instead of putting the ball in jeopardy, putting his team in jeopardy, he makes the right reads when he needs to. So you have the quarterback position there solidified as of now until they actually get their quarterback after Geno Smith leaves. But like I said, their defense is going to be one of the best in football next year. I mean, Byron Murphy, I think he's going to be a problem at the next level given his overall skill set. So I think Seattle did what they need to do. Like I said, their identity is going to be more so on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they covered that in free agency and in the draft. So I love what Seattle did here and on both sides there in the draft and free agency. Buccaneers, obviously, this is the team that won the division last year, got into the playoffs as a 4 seed. I mean, they got their guys re-signed. You got Baker Mayfield re-signed to a deal. You got Mike Evans re-signed to a deal. So you're pretty much bringing back your most important pieces for the offense there. I love the pickup of Graham Barton from Duke at 26. I mean, your franchise center, your guard, whatever you want to call it, that can protect Baker Mayfield at all costs and keep him upright. Edge, Chris Broswell improves that defense significantly as they really need help on that side. So I think he'll step in right away and make an immediate impact for that defense. So I think Tampa Bay is in a good position here. Obviously, they're in a they're in a weak division still, but they have a couple teams that they're fighting against, the Saints and then obviously the Falcons. They're trying to fight for that division crown. But I think Tampa Bay is still the best team in this division, given what they did. I mean, they resigned most of their guys, and they had a pretty decent draft. First couple picks I really loved, and Barton and Broswell. So I think this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is going to be competitive again. I think this team is the team that I believe can win the division again. So we'll see what happens. They're in the weak NFC South, so I think they can definitely win that division again. I think they have the best quarterback in that division, in my opinion, Baker Mayfield. So, yeah, they're heading in the right direction here to try to fight for their crown here in the NFC South. '17, I have the Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago had a phenomenal offseason and draft. I mean, let's talk about the new signings that they did. I mean, Keenan Allen, veteran wide receiver, DeAndre Swift, running back, phenomenal pickup. Gerald Everett, tight end. I mean, Caleb Williams is walking into a great situation. Now, if you were to ask me months ago, do I think Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears is a great situation? I would have called you crazy. But given what the front office has done, I mean, given him the requisite help at wide receiver and all that stuff, tight end, I mean, he's in the right spot, talent-wise. Caleb Williams, given his overall skill set when he did at USC, I think can translate to the next level. Now, it's just going to be a matter of can he get his head straight and, be the quarterback that I believe he can be. He could be something special in this league. Roman Dunze, they got in the draft, another solid pickup at 9. You know what I mean? Kyron from Yale, offense tackle that could protect Caleb Williams at all costs. I mean, the Bears had a solid offseason. I don't think there's really any excuse, in my opinion, for Caleb Williams to step in there and not perform with the talent that he has around him. I mean, he's in the best position out of any other rookie quarterback, out of any other rookie quarterbacks in the league in terms of having the pieces and talent around him to be successful. So I love the direction the Chicago Bears are going at. Now, they are improving. They're unproven. Now, I would have put them higher, but they got to prove it to me, obviously. But given what they did in both the draft and free agency, this should be a team that should fight for a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens. I know Bears fans are excited, but I think the Bears, I mean, like I said, they had a phenomenal offseason. I think they had one of the best off seasons out of any team in the league. 16, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Now, some of y'all Cowboy fans are going to be not so happy with this, but I have them at 16 because what did they do in free agency? What did they do? I mean, look at all these departures. I mean, you lost Connor McGovern, guard that went to Buffalo. You lost Tony Pollard, your best running back, to the Titans. You lost your center, your most important piece that can protect Dak Prescott, and Tyler Biadasz. Okay? I mean, you lost more than you gained. I mean, Tyler Guyton here at number 29, okay, it's a decent pickup. He's a bit raw, though. But, like, I don't understand why Jerry Jones didn't be or wasn't more aggressive in free agency to try to improve this team. I mean, Dak Prescott, I mean, he's on the verge of leaving this team next year, in my opinion. I think this will be his last year in Dallas. If Dak Prescott somehow if they win 12 games again next year and they get bounced out in the first round, I think this will be Dak Prescott's last year. You know, in my opinion, if I was the Cowboys, I would have drafted maybe in the third or fourth round. I would have got their guy and Spencer Rattler at quarterback to, a guy that can sit behind Dak Prescott maybe a year and learn. And if Dak Prescott, if the Cowboys don't feel like he's the guy going forward, then Spencer Rattler, who's on a rookie deal, can step in and, you can build from there. That's what I would have done if I were the Cowboys. Why do you think Dak Prescott hasn't, why do you think the Cowboys haven't signed Dak Prescott to a big time deal yet? I mean, we're in May and stuff like that, and he hasn't been signed to a deal. That pretty much just says that the Cowboys don't believe in Dak Prescott long term. They're not going to give him all that money. They're going to let him walk, or they're going to trade him somewhere where whatever they can get rid of that contract. But I just think the Cowboys got significantly worse, in my opinion. I'm just surprised they didn't maybe stay put at 24 and get their cornerback Terrion Arnold instead of trading with the Lions. I mean, you look at last year in the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love had a field day against the Cowboys, against that defense. You lost Stephon Gilmore, so why didn't you cover the cornerback position? Yes, you got your guy at 174 and Kalen Carson from Wake Forest, but like you could have gotten your guy Terrion Arnold at 24 instead of trading back. So, but I do understand like Tyler Guyton is a guy that can, offense tackle was a bigger need, but in my opinion, I would have gone with cornerback just because your defense needs help in the back end after what happened last year against the Packers. So I think the Cowboys got worse. They're a team that has won 12 games the last few years or so, but I don't even think they can get close to that this year, in my opinion, with all the losses that they've that departed from this team. So I have the Cowboys here at 16 here. 15, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars here had a pretty disappointing end to last year. Obviously, they had the easiest schedule last year, and they still finished, I think, was it 8-9 or 9-8, whatever it was. But I love the new signings they got in free agency. I mean, they got Eric Armstead from San Francisco, who improves that defense a lot, given his skill set. Gabe Davis from Buffalo, another weapon that, Trevor Lawrence can rely upon the outside. Darnell Savage, safety. I mean, like I said, they need help in the back end of that defense, so they got that covered in free agency. Got the guy Brian Thomas Jr. 6'17". Like I said, I think he could be the best wide receiver on that team. I mean, there's really no excuse for Trevor Lawrence to not make the playoffs this year with the talent that they have offensively and what they got in free agency as well. I mean, no excuses for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like I said, you should be in the mix to make the playoffs. Obviously, you got the Texans to deal with. Obviously, you got the Titans who've gotten better and all that stuff. The Colts, obviously, with Anthony Richardson coming back from the injury. But this Jaguars team should be either in the mix to win the division or make the playoffs next year. There's really no excuse. I think they had a pretty solid offseason and stuff like that. I mean, you did lose some pieces like Rayshawn Jenkins, but they replaced that pretty quickly in free agency and stuff like that. And the draft as well. So Jacksonville Jaguars here at 15. I think they have a top 15 roster in all of football. I think Trevor Lawrence and this team will bounce back in 2024. 14 out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers had a solid draft and free agency as well. I mean, look at their guys from what they had last year. They got rid of Kenny Pickett, a guy that complained about not being the number one quarterback going into next year. So the Pittsburgh Steelers got rid of him quickly. You got Russell Wilson, a guy that I don't think he was treated fairly in Denver. Like I said, I think him and Sean Payton did not get along well together. I think him being in a new situation with the Steelers was a tremendous need for him and for the Broncos organization to move on. So they got their guy Russell Wilson to come to the Steelers, who I think fits in tremendously. They got Patrick Queen, inside linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens, staying in the AFC North. Tremendous pickup for that defense. Van Jefferson, a guy, I mean, it's just more for depth, but he's not really going to, I mean, he might see the field, but I think it's just more of a depth piece than anything else. Troy Fautanu at pick 20, I love the pick up there. I think guy has tremendous hands, vicious on the offensive line, can play on either side of the offensive line, including guard, and a guy that can protect Wilson or Justin Fields at all costs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, and they also got Zach Frazier at pick 51. Obviously, after not picking up Jackson Powers Johnson, who I had going there in the past in my mocks, but Zach Frazier, another guy that fits the description for the Steelers. So you got your center for the future for the Steelers. You know, I mean, it's a solid draft. Roman Wilson, wide receiver for Michigan. I mean, another piece for the outside for Wilson to work with and all that. Peyton Wilson from North Carolina State. Love that pickup. I mean, the Steelers got what they needed in terms of the position that fits into that team. Just love it. I mean, it just makes a whole bunch of sense. I think the Steelers team is going to be in the mix. I mean, people say they're going to finish last in the division. I think I say that every year, and they end up proving me wrong every year. So I'm not ever going to bet against the Steelers again. This team should be, a 9 to 10 win team, I would say, given what they did in both the free agency and the draft. I mean, don't sleep on the Steelers. Like I said, they did what they needed to do. I think this team is a much better football team than they were last year. I think the quarterback room is better than what it was with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and all that stuff. And it's just a solid offseason. I love what the Steelers are doing. And I think Steelers fans should be excited going into 2024 here. Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins, I was pretty surprised on what they did at pick 21 by getting Chop Robinson. I thought what they would do was get an offensive tackle who could protect Tua at all costs. Obviously, Tua is going to be the guy going forward for the foreseeable future. I mean, you could have gotten your guy like Jackson Powers Johnson as well with this pick. But Chop Robinson, like I said, in my past mock, I gave the Chop Robinson grade a D just because I was a bit confused on why they would go with him at 21. I think it was a bit rich, a bit too high. But the more I look at it now, it does improve that defense tremendously. Chop Robinson, I believe his game for what he did at Penn State will translate to the NFL level. And I think it makes that defense that much better, that much more scary, given his overall skill set as well. Love the Patrick Paul pickup as well, like a second option after not picking an offensive tackle in the first. So Patrick Paul at 55, a guy that can protect Tua at all costs, given his skill set. Vicious on the offensive line, has size, and I think Tua would really appreciate having him on the offensive line there as well. They get Jordan Poyer from Buffalo, a guy that's staying in the AFC East. So he's pretty much familiar on what each team in that division wants to do. So getting a vet like him, I think is a phenomenal pickup for the Dolphins there. Jonnu Smith, tight end, another weapon that Tua can rely upon. Shaq Barrett, linebacker. I mean, the Dolphins. And then my only concern is they didn't do that bad in the draft. I think they did decent in the draft and free agency. The only concern I have is the Christian Wilkins. How bad is that going to be by losing him? Because he was the best player on that defense. You did lose Jerome Baker as well. You did lose Andrew Van Ginkel as well. So you did lose a little bit on the defense. But I think the Dolphins covered that in the draft and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I think the Dolphins, they didn't really lose much. I mean, outside those guys I just said, but they had a decent offseason. I think this is another team that's going to be in the mix for the division. I mean, looking at what, Buffalo has lost a lot as well. We don't know what the Jets, even though they had a phenomenal offseason, They're the Jets at the end of the day. Until proven otherwise, they have to go out and prove it. So the Dolphins have a chance to redeem themselves after what happened last year by having a significant lead in the division and choking it in the last game of the season. So we'll see if they can bounce back here and actually win the AFC East this year. So we'll see. 12 out of the Cleveland Browns, obviously, looking what they did in free agency, they got their guy Jameis Winston, quarterback that can go behind Deshaun Watson, Tyler Huntley. So the quarterback position is pretty much solidified there. It's better than what it has been in the past. I love the Michael Hall Jr. pickup from Ohio State. A guy that can improve that defense tremendously as well. A guy that can go next to Myles Garrett on that defense. That'll be a one scary defense right there, adding him to the mix. Now, looking at the Cleveland Browns here, they do have the hardest schedule going into 2024 at number one. So that's the only concern with that is how many games can they actually win with that tough schedule. So, but given what they did in the draft, I think it was decent, obviously, with the Michael Hall pickup. Love that. The new signings they got in free agency wasn't all that bad either. It's just going to be a matter of how Deshaun Watson performs in 2024. That's my only concern with him is what type of Deshaun Watson are we going to get in 2024. I think if he plays, I'm not saying he's going to be the same player like he was in Houston, but if he can be somewhat like what he was in Houston, this Cleveland Browns team could be in the mix for the division. Now, this is the best division in football, obviously, so anybody in that division can win. The Browns could be anywhere from first, maybe even last, but all these teams can have winning records. I think the Browns will have a winning record. It's just going to be a matter of where are they going to be seated in that division. That's my only question with that. But the Browns are going to be competitive like they always are. They're going to be in the mix and in a tough gauntlet division like the AFC North. So we'll see what happens. But I do have the Browns at 12, just given what the talent that they already have on the team and additions that they added in free agency and the draft. 11 out of the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, the Bills, they did lose a lot in free agency. I mean, Stephon Diggs obviously is a big loss, but we understand what the situation, why the Bills got rid of him. Dude was a problem in the locker room, complaining about not getting the getting the catches from Josh Allen and all that stuff. But the dude has nothing to blame but himself. I mean, you had catches. Those Josh Allen threw the ball nicely in the playoffs to you, right down the middle, and dude just didn't catch the ball, or you just didn't keep running, whatever the case is there. I mean, you had opportunities thrown your way, you just didn't capitalize on that. So the Bills got rid of that. Got rid of Stephon Diggs. Problem in the locker room. They got rid of that, and they got someone new like a Keon Coleman, who I think fits tremendously. And now, is he a Stephon Diggs? No. Okay, but his overall character, his personality, I think he fits in tremendously on that Buffalo Bills team. And all that. I love the Curtis Samuel pickup. Like I said, is he a Stephon Diggs? No, but it's a decent replacement after losing a guy like Stephon Diggs to the Texans. My only concern is you did lose Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on the back end of your defense. Now, Cole Bishop is a solid pickup, obviously at pick 60. So we'll see how he translates to the next level there. But like I said, losing your two vets and Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are big losses, obviously. But the Bills need to get younger on that side of the ball. They were getting pretty old on that side, so they need to move those pieces to get younger and try to be able to keep up with some of the more elite offenses in the league. So even though Buffalo did lose a lot, you still have Josh Allen. As long as you have Josh Allen on the field, you're still in the mix for the division. Like I said, this team is still a team to beat in that AFC East until proven otherwise. You can never count out the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. It's going to be a big year for him, obviously, after losing those pieces. Can Josh Allen galvanize the troops? Can he elevate his game to the next level, obviously? Can he get past the Kansas City Chiefs? That's going to be the next question for Josh Allen. But I mean, for what the Bills have been dealing with, it was a decent draft and it was a decent offseason, but nothing great. But like I said, as long as you got Josh Allen on the field, you always have a chance in every game. Wait. Los Angeles Rams, obviously, they did lose Aaron Donald to retirement, so they got the replacement in Jared Verse. Now, is he and Aaron Donald? No, but it's a respectable replacement. Jared Verse is a guy that's ferocious off of the edge, dude that can be efficient at getting to the quarterback, and I think it will keep the Rams defense respectable and competitive in a tough NFC West. Love the Braden Fisk pickup, defense tackle from Florida State as well. So you got that position solidified pretty much. Blake Corum is a good pickup as well at running back. He had a pretty solid year at Michigan, so we'll see what he can do at the next level. Tre'Davious White, I think it's a phenomenal pickup for the Los Angeles Rams as they desperately need help in the back end. Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that can go behind Matthew Stafford in case if he gets hurt. A guy that has experience in the league and can step in right away in case, like I said, if Matthew Stafford ends up going out with an injury or whatever. So hopefully he does stay healthy there. So this Rams team, given what they did, they should be in the mix for the playoffs this year. Obviously, I think they're a top 10 team in the league. Given what they've done. And then they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. So they have the experience. They still have guys like Cooper Kupp on the offense and all that stuff to run the show and all that. It's just a matter of, can this team stay healthy when it matters? That's the only concern I have with them. This Rams team should be competitive, like I said, and this team should be a playoff team next year, in my opinion. Jets. I mean, the Jets had probably the best offseason out of any team in football. I mean, look what they did in free agency. They got the guy Tyron Smith. The only concern I have with him is he hasn't played a full season since 2015, so that's my only concern. Can he stay healthy? We will see. Mike Williams, another guy that's injury prone as well. Can he stay healthy? We shall see. Tyrod Taylor, I love the pickup, obviously. And you look at the situation the Jets last year, they had no quarterback play last year whatsoever. The defense literally did everything for this team. They have a Super Bowl defense. They were able to get the opposing offenses off the field, but their offense wasn't able to get the job done when it mattered. The defense had to continue to go on the field, and they weren't getting the rest that they needed. So now you have a decent quarterback like Tyrod Taylor. Like I said, another guy that's injury prone. Can he stay healthy when it matters? Hassan Reddick is probably the best pickup, in my opinion, of the offseason for the Jets. Guy that can put pressure on the quarterback from Philadelphia. I mean, the Jets did what they needed to do to improve. I mean, Olu Fashanu, I think was a smart pick for the Jets. Now, me personally, I would have gone with Troy Fautanu just because he can play on both sides of the offensive line, including guard. But Fashanu, like I said, we just don't know what Tyron Smith's status is. If he gets hurt, Olu Fashanu is going to have to step in, and I think he can make an immediate impact. Given what he did at Penn State, he didn't give up really any sacks at all in his last year at Penn State. So a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who was sacked in 4 plays last year, he's gonna have to appreciate having a guy like Olu Fashanu on this team that can protect him at all costs and keep him upright and give him more time to process the pocket and get the ball to his receiver. So we'll see what happens. I love the Malachi Corley pickup from Western Kentucky. Jordan Travis, quarterback from Florida State as well. A guy that can step in, if Aaron Rodgers somehow gets hurt again, and if the Jets decide to move on from Rodgers, and Jordan Travis is walking into a great situation, given what the Jets did in the draft and free agency. So, I mean, there's really no excuses for the Jets this year to not win this division. They're clearly the best team in the AFC East. They're unproven. We'll see what happens. It's just a matter of, can they stay healthy? If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I think this team can win anywhere between 11 to 13 games. So we'll see what happens, but it's just going to be a matter of, can the Jets not get in their own way and stay healthy? If Aaron Rodgers is not healthy, it's not going to matter. The Jets aren't going to be in the playoffs. It's just that simple. So, like I said, this is the team that's been getting a lot of headlines this offseason. Most top team in football, even though they haven't done anything or proven anything, they got to go out and prove it. So this is no excuse year for the Jets. On paper they look good. They should win that AFC East. But will they? Will they get in their own way? We shall see. I'm not going to make any more speculations on it, but we shall see in 2024. But the Jets had a phenomenal offseason, both in the draft and free agency. Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, the Bengals did what they needed to do at pick 18, especially because offensive tackle was the biggest position of need for this team. Amarius Mims at pick 18, a guy that can protect Joe Burrow at all costs. And you look at Joe Burrow's situation throughout his NFL career, a dude that has taken a lot of hits. I mean, he got knocked out last year against Baltimore. So, I mean, like I've been saying in my past mocks, you better get Joe Burrow some protection. And they did just that by getting their guy Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Now, me personally, I would have gone with Troy Fautanu, a guy that was still on the board for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think would have been a better fit for a guy like Joe Burrow, who needs all the protection in the world. So you can slide Fautanu on both sides, whether at right tackle or left tackle, whatever you need him to play. Would have been a phenomenal pickup there. But Amarius Mims, a guy that can, step in and do his job and just be himself. Most importantly, is just doing whatever you can to protect your franchise quarterback and Joe Burrow at all costs. So that's just what it has to be right there. So I think it was smart for the Bengals to go offense tackle here at pick 18. Now, I love the pickup of Mike Gesicki as well. I mean, even though he didn't really do much last year with the Patriots, I think he can step in and it gives another weapon for Joe Burrow for that offense. Now, you did lose Tyler Boyd, obviously, to the Titans, which I don't really think has much of an impact as people think it is. You still have, other receivers on the offense that can do their job and be efficient when it matters. So I think I think Joe Burrow is just as motivated as any other quarterback in the league right now. A dude that was injured last year. I think the Bengals are motivated to come back and prove people wrong that they could win this division. I think they do. I think they can compete with the Baltimore Ravens for the division crown. It's just going to be a matter of can Burrow stay healthy as well. I mean, like I keep saying, it may sound a little cliche, but if Joe Burrow is healthy throughout the NFL season, if he stays upright like I believe he can be, then this Bengals team should be in the mix for the AFC North. So we'll see what happens. But I do have the Bengals here at 8, given what they have already offensively and the defense. Philadelphia Eagles, obviously the Eagles, they really struggled last year in terms of the cornerback position. They covered that in this year's draft. I mean, Quinion Mitchell was a steal, in my opinion, at pick 22 for the Philadelphia Eagles. A guy that can come in. A dude's not scared of anyone. Given what he did at Toledo, I think he can come in right away and improve that defense significantly. And they doubled at that position. They got him and they got Cooper DeJean from Iowa. I mean, the Eagles had a solid offseason as well, and mostly in the draft. I mean, they really need to cover the cornerback position as they really got burnt last year. They couldn't stop a cold last year, so now they covered that in the draft. This Eagles team, given what they already have offensively, they covered the defense. They have talent offensively. This team should be back next year, in my opinion. I mean, given what, the rest of that division, the NFC East has done, the Eagles have had the best offseason out of any team in that division. So this team should come back. This team should be in the mix for a Super Bowl next year, given what they did in the draft and in free agency. They got Saquon Barkley, a phenomenal pickup. Love it. They stole their guy from the Giants. Obviously, it was a big loss for them. Big gain for the Eagles. I mean, how could you sit here and not say the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl mix? I mean, they did what they needed to do to cover the cornerback position. Now they still have a long way to go. Okay, I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to be an immediate Super Bowl team in 2024, but they did put themselves back in the conversation. Last year was an absolute disaster, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now they're going to be much more improved on that side. I think the Eagles are back. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to be motivated as well to come back with a vengeance after, a terrible end of last year. So we'll see what happens. But I have the Eagles here at 7. 6, I have the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they got their guy Jordan Morgan at 25. I think it's a decent pickup. It's a good pickup. A guy that can protect Jordan Love at all costs. You look at the type of year Jordan Love had last year, getting his team to the divisional round, obviously coming up short against the 49ers team, who they almost beat. Just they need to make a couple more big plays. They just couldn't do it. I love the Edgerrin Cooper pickup from Texas A&M, linebacker. I mean, I think he fits in tremendously for what the Packers want to do on that side, and stuff like that. So I think this Packers team, given what they did in the draft and free agency as well, I mean, I think this team is going to be motivated. Like I said, a team that was close to knocking off the 49ers last year. This team's going to be motivated to try to get back there next year and even try to get to a Super Bowl next year. Now, some people have called this team overrated. I don't think this team's overrated. I think this team is going to, I think Jordan Love's going to be better next year. And I think this team is going to be in the mix. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win the division because I still think the Lions are the best team in that division. But the Green Bay Packers should be in the mix for a playoff spot next year. I expect them to make the playoffs. Again, given what they did last year, I think they'll continue to build off of what they did the previous year. So we'll see what happens. But I think, Jordan Morgan is a good pickup. Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard from Georgia is a good pickup as well for defensive back. So their defense is pretty much solidified. We'll see how these guys transition to the next level here. 5, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, I believe they had a pretty solid offseason as well. Now, they didn't really do much outside of getting Derrick Henry. No, Derrick Henry obviously is the biggest pickup of the offseason there for the Baltimore Ravens. I think he fits into what the Ravens want to do. The Ravens love playing smash mouth football. They love to run the ball. You have a Lamar Jackson who likes to use his legs a lot, team that doesn't like to pass a lot. So you have Lamar Jackson likes to use his legs, and you have Derrick Henry who can take pressure off of Lamar Jackson, to be honest with you. Now, the only question I have with the pick is how much does Derrick Henry have left in the tank? That's the only question I have with the Ravens here. But it's a solid pickup. It's an improvement at running back, especially after losing a couple of pieces in the offseason at that position. But mostly the Ravens, they pretty much resigned most of the players back, like Kyle Van Noy, Josh Jones, Chris Board, linebacker. The Patrick Queen obviously is a big loss. But like I said, I love what they did in the draft, especially at 30. Nate Wiggins, I think he fits in tremendously for what they want to do on that side. Roger Rosengarten from Washington, offensive tackle that can protect Lamar Jackson at all costs. ADC Isaac from Penn State, outside linebacker. So, I mean, they got pieces that I believe fits in for what the Ravens want to do. I mean, like I said, John Harbaugh another guy that likes to build through the trenches as well. He loves to depend on defense. I mean, this defense was the best last year at number 1. And I don't expect anything different. I expect them to be one of the top defenses next year as well, and stuff like that. And the only question I have with the Ravens is, can they get out of their own way, and can they find a way to beat the Chiefs? I mean, they held the Chiefs to 17 points last year in that AFC Championship game. I mean, it's just the Ravens just couldn't make plays. I mean, can Lamar Jackson be more efficient throwing the football? Because that's what the defenses are going to do in the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, you're not going to be able to run like you used to in the regular season. You can get away with that in the regular season, but once the playoffs roll around, they're going to try to force you to throw the football. So can Lamar Jackson make the plays, given his skill set, and can he make the throws down the field on a consistent basis in the playoffs? So, but the Ravens, I expect them to win the division again next year, even though it's going to be harder with the Pittsburgh being better, with Cincinnati getting all their guys back, Cleveland still being there. So they're in a tough division, but I expect the Ravens to come out on top in the end in that division. So we'll see what happens. And Texans, I mean, the Texans had a phenomenal offseason, really, in the free agency. I mean, they got the guy Stephon Diggs, a big pickup for them at wide receiver. My only concern is with how of a young team that the Texans are, given what Stephon Diggs, all that drama that he was dealing with last year in Buffalo, is that going to translate down to Houston? Because CJ Stroud and that team had a phenomenal year last year by getting to the playoffs, winning that division. Is Stephon Diggs going to come down there and disrupt all that? Let's say if Stephon Diggs, if things don't go his way, is he going to be a disruption, distraction to that Texans locker room, who's a young team? I believe if that happens, I think the Texans will get rid of him immediately because they don't need somebody like that in the locker room, especially with how young of a team the Texans are. But given what they did in the draft, I love the Kamari Lassner pickup from Georgia. Improves that defense a lot given his overall skill set. Blake Fisher, a solid offense tackle for C.J. Stroud that could protect them at all costs. Cade Stover from tight end from Ohio State, another weapons that can help C.J. Stroud a lot. So C.J. Stroud especially going into his important second year, I think it's important to continue to put pieces around him offensively, the protection standpoint and at wide receiver. So you took care of that, and you got Stephon Diggs. I mean, this Texans team, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were in the AFC Championship game next year. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's an automatic lock that they get there, but given what they did this offseason, this is one of the top teams, in my opinion, in the league. So that's why I have them at 4 here. I just think they lost some pieces, but I think they gained more than they lost. So I think this team should be in the mix for an AFC Championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens there. I have the Detroit Lions, obviously. I mean, they got their guy Terrion Arnold here at pick 24, which I think it's a phenomenal pickup. I mean, a position of need for the Detroit Lions as they desperately struggled last year to stop anyone. I mean, look at their situation last year. They had one of the best offenses in the league last year in terms of putting up points at a high clip on a weekly basis, but their defense wasn't able to do the same, wasn't able to do their part to get opposing offenses off the field. So now they get their guy Terrion Arnold, a lockdown cornerback, and this Rakestraw Jr., another lockdown cornerback. So I like how they double down at that position to improve that Lions defense significantly. Two guys that are very disciplined at their respective positions and always at the right spots at the right time. So if you're an offense that is not aware of where they are on the field, they will make you pay. So I think this Lions team is better on that side of the ball with those two guys there and what they already have offensively. This team should be in the mix for a potential Super Bowl run next year. I expect them to win the NFC North again next year, so we'll see what happens there. But I think Detroit, I love what they've built there. Dan Campbell is a phenomenal coach. Now, he's going to have to learn to just go for the field goals. Like I said, if you just did that last year by going with the field goals instead of going for it, you probably would have won that game. You probably would have been moving on to the Super Bowl. So you live and learn, but I think the Detroit Lions, they're going to have another opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl next year. San Francisco 49ers. Now, this team is obviously still the team to beat in the NFC. And they've been pretty dominant over the past few years or so by winning their division, getting out the NFC, and all that stuff. So I like what they did here at pick 31 by getting Ricky Pearsall. I was a little surprised at first on why they did this, but I understand that potentially Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk could potentially be out the door. So you get your guy Ricky Pearsall, a dude that's fast, a dude that's always has good hands, catching the football, gets yards after the catch. I think a guy like Brock Purdy would appreciate having a guy like him on his team who can be a good replacement for a Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, assuming one of those guys ends up leaving for another team. So we'll see what happens there. Their defense is still, one of the best in football, obviously. And like I said, you can never count out this 49er team, a team that's always going to be in the mix for a Super Bowl each and every year. And like I said, this team is the team to beat in the NFC. So, given what they did last year, they came up short last year. This team is still going to be in the mix. Now, they did lose some pieces like Chase Young. Obviously, there's some issues about his effort last year, so I understand why this 49ers decided to move on from him. You lost Javon Kinlaw to the Jets. Eric Armstead is a big loss for that defense, who went to Jacksonville. But like I said, you can never count out this 49ers team. I think they will be in the Super Bowl mix again this year until proven otherwise. Until somebody knocks them out in that division, I expect the 49ers to win the NFC West again in 2024. Last but not least, your last team is the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1, your two-time reigning defending Super Bowl champions. I love what they did at pick 28. trading up from 32 up to 28 to take their guy Xavier Worthy, the fastest receiver in the draft. It's an improvement from what they had last year, even though they won the Super Bowl. The situation, the Chiefs had the most drops in football last year. So get your guy in Xavier Worthy, who is fast, a dude that can catch. But the only question is, he has had some drops here and there. So if he can get more consistent with catching the football, that's going to be huge for the Kansas City Chiefs as they are trying to go for their three-peat here. The Kingsley pickup from BYU, I love that pickup for them. It just keeps Mahomes more upright, and that's a scary combination. If he's protecting Mahomes and Mahomes is getting more time to the ball down the field to his receivers, it's going to be hard to stop him again and all that stuff. So Jared Wiley from TCU, tight end, another weapon Mahomes can rely upon. I mean, the Chiefs pretty much do what they need to do. Nothing splashy, but they hit the position of need at wide receiver, offensive tackle, and then add another weapon, Jared Wiley, that can go next to Travis Kelce, who is getting up there in age as well. So Marquise Brown, another wide receiver from Arizona, solid pickup. Chris Jones, they resigned and all that stuff. So, I mean, the Chiefs pretty much maintained more than they lost in free agency. The Patriots, obviously, they lost to Jerry Sneed, which is one of the biggest losses. But we'll see how the Chiefs defense does this year, but I expect them to be pretty solid. Probably not as good as they were last year, but their offense will be significantly better for what they did in the draft and all that stuff. So, like I said, this team is still your number one team until proven otherwise. This team is still the team to beat until someone knocks them off. So we'll see what happens. I hope the Chiefs don't three-peat next year, but you can never bet against Mahomes. We'll just have to see what happens. But this team is your number one team in the power rankings. For my 2024 post-draft power rankings, if you guys continue to like my content, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you guys again for tuning in to another edition of Keaton Talks Sports. Signing out for the day. Have a good one, everyone.